94 WIP.
Welcome back to today's show. Hugh Douglas, Giglio, broadcasting back to camp from the Jefferson Health Training Complex inside a beautiful Forest River RV by Camping World, Jefferson Health Champions of Care, and the official health system part of the Philadelphia Eagles, who had their second preseason game on Saturday night. And it was certainly more entertaining. And I think a lot of takeaways. We'll talk backup quarterback here with our next guest and the players that stood out. Eliot Shorr-Parks joins us as he gets ready for the final week of training camp. Eliot, this is a bittersweet week.
It's very bittersweet. So they'll be out on the practice field in about, I guess, roughly an hour from now. Final 3 practices. Got the link practice tomorrow night. So, man, training camp really flew by. Sad to see it go. It's the best time of the year.
It is. All right, Eliot, let's talk about Saturday and what we saw. And
yeah.
To me, the biggest story is the backup quarterback and what they're doing there. And I don't even understand what the plan was from the start. But now, as I sit here, I think Tanner McKee's the better quarterback than Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy had some big misses on Saturday. That one to Eli Stowers in the sideline.
Yeah.
That's a gimme. He's got to hit that.
And you really want Eli to have a chance to catch that ball, too.
Of course. And he missed them. And then Tanner came in, and he got rolling. I thought he showed some nice touch with those running backs out of the backfield. He got in a rhythm. I think McKee's the better quarterback. Eliot, what's your read on the battle right now and what they might do here?
So everything I know about the Eagles from the past few years makes me think it's going to be Tanner. He's better. He has a future. I know he's a free agent beyond this year, but he's still a young quarterback with upside. He's been in the building. I've always heard they really like him. But actions speak louder than words. And at this point, they have taken 50% of the backup reps for him. Him and Andy Dalton split reps. Andy Dalton has started both games. So we'll see on Friday night. If either of them play on Friday, that would be very telling. If you remember last year, Tanner McKee didn't play in the final preseason game. So my gut still says that it will probably be Tanner McKee just because I can't imagine they would actually put Andy Dalton as the backup quarterback. But their actions certainly seem to keep giving that as the indication. So, of all the moves Eagles have made over the past few years, you can always, you can nitpick this one, you can disagree with one, but you normally understand the logic of it. There's very few moves they make where you go, what in the world are they doing? The Andy Dalton thing to me is a complete head-scratcher, and it continues to be a complete head-scratcher.
You know what, Eliot, is there any chance that because I said this earlier, that their second-string quarterback isn't on this roster yet?
I think it could be. Happy belated birthday, by the way. Happy belated.
Thank you.
I think there's definitely a chance the backup quarterback is not on the roster. And I think the better question is, should they go and get another quarterback? Do they need to get another quarterback? Because we view this through the prism of just Andy Dalton or Tanner McKee. But they're telling us they don't, at this point, have a ton of confidence in either. Otherwise they would have picked one, right? So, for a team that I think we would all agree to some degree is a Super Bowl contender, should be looking at this as if God forbid Jalen were to go down, they don't want this season to tank. Do we think if Andy Dalton were to have to play for 5 or 6 weeks, that would be a good thing? And they are telling us that they don't have a ton of confidence in Tanner. I think if prior to all this, Tanner McKee would have been the starter for a month this season, I think there would have been some people that would have had confidence in him and said this could go well. At this point, I feel like they've kind of shaken that confidence. So I think they should absolutely go and be looking for another quarterback.
All right, Eliot, let's talk about the rest of the game on Saturday and what stood out. What's becoming clear to me through 2 preseason games is the offensive line depth, which I thought was not great last year.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the few years in the last 10 or so where it's I don't know. I mean, guys go down and it's it's not great. It looks pretty strong to me, Eliot. And Markel Bell has shown out as a rookie, and it seems like there's real potential there. Obviously, Fred Johnson's a vet and has helped out in the past. But the interior backups look really strong. I mean, Willie Lampkin is an interesting player because he just doesn't look like an offensive lineman in the modern NFL, yet he seems like he is one. And then Drew Kendall, we've talked about him, and Jordan Davis told us he's really impressed him this summer. It feels to me like they have a really strong depth on that offensive line.
Yeah, I thought it was without question the biggest positive from Saturday. And even, earlier in the week when I was at those joint practices, the Eagles' offensive line, the starting offensive line, really had a very good day one running the ball against the Patriots. So you're right. I mean, you go down the list, you feel good about a lot of their backups. I think with any backup that hasn't played a lot in the NFL, it's fair to wonder how they'll do once they go in there, right? Like Willie Lampkin, let's see him against starting caliber defensive tackles. Let's see Markel Bell when a team has a week to prepare for him. Drew Kendall, all those guys. But there's no question they've played about as well as you could have hoped. But my actual bigger takeaway from that is what a job Chris Cooper is doing. I mean, when Jeff Stoutland was, let go, however you want to phrase it, and they brought in Chris Cooper. Let's be honest, he didn't come in with a great resume.
Right.
His track record in Minnesota wasn't great. His track record of player development in Minnesota wasn't great. And it's early. So, I don't think you're sitting here and going, all right, they found the next Stoutland or they found an adequate replacement. But you can only go off of what we've seen so far. And the starting offensive line played really well in those joint practices. And the backup offensive linemen, the young players that they need to develop, Drew Kendall looks better than last year. Markel Bell looks like he's ready right away. Willie Lampkin, I know he didn't practice much last year, but he looks like he could be a starter if they needed him to. So still questions, but I think the early return on Chris Cooper is probably the most beneficial thing here.
I'm kind of curious. When you think about what Coach Stoutland was here and you see the offensive line now and you see the development of all these young guys, because I'm sitting there watching film, and it's like you see guys going down the field and like pancaking fools. Does it feel like more so that Coach Stoutland's his philosophy was a little bit more antiquated?
I actually think if you put the players on a lie detector test, they would probably agree with you on that, although I am anti-lie detector test, to be fair. But regardless, I do think that there is a feeling among the offensive linemen of they're playing in kind of what modern NFL offensive line, that the scheme that they play in. Like you hear Lane Johnson and Mailata talk about how much more help they're going to get. You hear, I think it was Lane that said Kelsey would be so good in this system because he could get to the second level, and that's obviously a strength of Cam Jurgens. So you see them doing all these, sprints after practice. You see them doing a lot of cardio. It's because they're going to be running a lot, and that's because they're going to be getting to the sideline. They're going to be getting to the second level. And when this starting offensive line is at their best and they're all healthy, they are a very athletic group. Like Cam is one of the more athletic centers. Lane, Mailata, two of the more athletic tackles. Landon, we'll see, probably doesn't move like he used to, but at one point he was viewed as a pretty athletic guard. So I think there is a genuine excitement for the line of, all right, we get to play now in this system. We watch other teams play on Sunday that does look a little more offensive line friendly.
Elliot, another position that stood out in the last two games, certainly one player, is Ty Robinson. Right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, last week, Vic Fangio.
He's on life support, right?
Vic Fangio said he's on life support. He's come back
It's
to
not
life.
a great place to be, dog.
But you know what? It's great to come back off of life support, Hugh. And it sounds like Ty Robinson has it. It looks like he has. Elliot, watching the game and watching the last couple of years, I feel like Clint Hurt needs to get talked about more as a guy that develops defensive linemen. I mean, think about Milton Williams. You think about, obviously, Moro Jomo as a seventh-round pick. I mean, Carter and Davis are first-rounders, so you expect them to reach their potential and be good. But it feels like they have a real asset here in Clint Hurt, and that's a position they need depth at because those top two guys are highly paid and excellent, but you kind of wonder if Jomo being an impending free agent, like what's the rest of that depth? It feels better to me than when we started the summer.
Yeah, I mean, Clint Hurt's probably the closest thing they have to Jeff Stoutland right now. The only downside is I think Clint Hurt probably does have ambition to be a coordinator, maybe a head coach. He interviewed for a coordinator job this past offseason. So while they have him, you're absolutely right. I mean, even just look at the improvement that Uar Bernard has shown from game 1 to game 2. Just from the first snap to the last snap he took, he already looks like he's getting closer and closer. So you're right. The depth at that defensive tackle spot is a big one. Moro Jomo beyond this year. Unlikely to be here. I wouldn't say definitely not, but you would guess unlikely. And Ty Robinson, I think, is a really good example of just how much a full year in the NFL can help any player. And I'll use Eli Stowers as an example here. So Ty Robinson last year, just being around him this year compared to last year, feels like a different person. He's more confident. You can tell he has a better feel of what he's doing. Last year when I was around Ty Robinson, I think you could tell a little bit it was his rookie year. He was coming from college in a, relatively, I know a big college program, but a small town to a big city, big spotlight, all those things. You can see how much better now he's handling it and how much more prepared he is. And I think you're seeing him play better simply because he's more comfortable. So I think the hope with Eli Stowers, when you watch him out here today, when you get a chance, and anyone that's had a chance to see him, to me right now, Eli Stowers looks like he's lacking confidence. If it looks like a hitter that hasn't gotten a hit in a while, a shooter that just needs to see a shot go in. Like he hasn't had any moments where I think he could leave that play and go, all right, I'm starting to get this. So again, I know I'm going a bit of a different direction with your question, but I think with Ty Robinson, you're seeing the confidence of a full year, and the hope is Eli Stowers can kind of get there.
Well, you talk about confidence, and I think about Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Confidence, knowing where
another
to be.
great example. Yeah,
I mean, Elliot, that blitz on Saturday. I mean, Ross Tucker was losing his mind. I mean, he timed that as perfect. It reminded me of some of Nakobe's blitzes last year because Nakobe had a real knack for that, like knowing exactly when to try to attack. And he just walked in to hit the quarterback. So I was impressed again. Now, Jihad didn't play, so that's a signal that Jihad is probably they want to protect Jihad now. But, Elliot, I continue to think that Jeremiah Trotter's earning snaps. What that looks like, how they deploy it. To me, he's too good not to give him snaps at some roles starting against Washington.
So I think Trotter is doing exactly what you would hope Trotter would do against preseason offenses.
Because
well, and also like Trotter is, I guess I'll say like an elite football mind, right? Like he's really good with tape. That's the strength of his game. So when you're going up against vanilla offenses, you are going to see Trotter really demolish them because they're not hiding anything, right? And he can completely read it. And that's what you're seeing. So I do think, in the regular season, the task is a little tougher. But another good example of a guy that's now been in the system for a few years, and you can just see how confident he is. And as a result, he's looking faster. He's looking stronger. Like, rookie year Trotter probably doesn't look as fast because his head's swimming a little bit. Now you can see the confidence. So I agree. I mean, I think he's somebody on obvious running downs can be out there this year. I don't think they'll go 3 linebackers very often, but when they are, he's the obvious one there. And more, he's looking like somebody that I think is probably not going to happen here this year, unfortunately, but he is somebody that seems like he is ready for the next level of being an every down linebacker.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think that me and Joe were talking about this. They're going to have to figure out a way to get him on the field.
Yeah.
They're going to have to figure out a way to get him on the field.
Now, the tough thing is, like, Cooper DeJean kind of plays that third linebacker role. He's so good against the run that you can have him out there as a nickel in coverage, and then if needed, he can play the run. So that does hurt his chances of getting out there. But, last year, and I'm not even saying this against Jihad, but, like, you saw last year that Vic Fangio prefers a Nakobe Dean type of linebacker out there, and that is what Trotter is. So even if he doesn't get out there a ton week 1, if I'm Trotter, I do feel like each week at practice I have a chance to legitimately earn my shot as a starting linebacker here.
All right, Eliot put out his 53-man roster prediction version 3.0.
3.0, yeah.
This is a big one. Now, I'm curious, what as you put it together, what looks to be the challenge of the roster projects? Like, where do you think Howie and his team have to figure out, like, how do we do this? Because I noticed you have 11 offensive linemen. That feels heavy. Now, they carry a lot, right? You're probably going to have 9 or 10 anyway.
It's a lot. 10's normally, I think,
where
they're
so
at.
you have to pull from somewhere else. So when you were going through, what feels to you like the biggest questions they have this final week?
So I think what's interesting when you look at their 53 is they probably have about 5 guys that you keep this year with 2027 in mind.
Stowers.
Stowers definitely.
Bernard
but even like
how do you hide all them folks though, man?
Yep.
Yeah,
hide them cats.
So I think like Jake Majors is someone that probably can't contribute this year, but you really want to let him get out of the building. Joshua Wayru, the other international player pathway program, probably not ready to play this year, but do you want to risk him to waivers? Kapena Gushikin, the safety that played nickel on Saturday night and has played really well, might not contribute this year, but you really want to expose them to waivers. So they have a lot of guys at the bottom of the roster that I think they're going to want to keep for next year, and it's going to be tough to keep them all. So I think some positions you look at where they could potentially go a little bit light. If they don't keep Gushikin, maybe you only keep 3 safeties with Michael Carter, Andrew Makuba, and Marcus Epps. Even Epps is somebody you could put on practice squad, promote for a few weeks, and then eventually put him on the active roster. Receiver, I mean, I had them keeping 6 with Elijah Moore just because I think Elijah's been so good. And I know ultimately when you make the 53-man roster, you're not thinking about week 1. But, man, I think they need him for week 1. When you think about Mekhi Lemon, who might be out here today, and guys like that haven't been able to really practice a ton. Eli Stowers probably not going to be able to contribute. So Elijah Moore really helps you there. So I think, they could potentially only go 5 receivers. They could go 3 safeties. Linebacker is a spot where there's 4 that's probably locked in. The 3 we have talked about, Smile Mondin, but Chance Campbell's look good. Deontay Lawson's look good. So at the beginning of camp, I felt they weren't a particularly deep team. And I still don't think at the second level behind the starters they have like a ton of special players. Now, not a lot of teams do. But I think what they do have is a lot of guys that this year look like they could be contributors in 2027.
All right, well, that's an interesting kind of puzzle for Howie to try to figure out this week. So when I look at them and I'm watching them these 2 weeks, they feel particularly strong to me in certain areas. Like they're strong at running back, obviously. They're strong on the offensive line. They're strong at inside linebacker. I mean, you just mentioned some of those names. I mean, even Vic shouted out Chance Campbell recently.
And he said it was the deepest position on the team. Or defense, I guess I should
Now,
say.
is there anywhere you think they don't look strong? Like they look a little bit – like to me, I feel like the defensive back room is top-heavy.
Yeah.
Like they are great with Cooper and great with Quignon. And even Woolen has a chance to have some excellence to him. We've seen up and down. But I don't know. That's when I was looking at your roster projection, I was like, Keely Ringo, I don't love. Jonathan Jones is a vet. Okay, he's had an up and down run here. Epps, Makuba, Michael Carter, the kid that played Saturday. It just feels like that. DBs feels light. Like if they had injuries there, I'd be concerned.
Yeah, so I think it's a fair assessment. I would say that this could be a case of where we're, what's the expression, too close to the trees to see the forest or whatever.
Something like that.
I don't think many teams have 4 or 5 defensive backs where you go, I feel good with this guy starting. So there's just going to be positions that you're not going to be super deep at. But I do agree with you. Like Keely Ringo last year was competing for a starting job, very clearly did not win it. I think he's been a little bit better this year. It seems like Vic still likes him, but has not played a high level in the NFL. Mac McWilliams has never played consistent snaps at the NFL. And I think someone like Jonathan Jones, who they brought in, where you at least feel like, all right, he's played a lot in the NFL. You know what he is. He's missed a lot of time with a shoulder injury. I think he's missed about 2 weeks maybe at this point of practice, maybe a little less. So I would agree, defensive back, they're probably a little thin. Receiver's such a tough puzzle to figure out because I look at it and I go, other than Devontae, and really, I guess Wicks, who do you know is a very good NFL player? I mean, Hollywood Brown, I guess you kind of know what he is.
Well, he was.
Right.
Yeah.
But even last year, I think he had 500 yards. He's a solid NFL player. Elijah Moore was on a practice squad last year. He's also had years with 70-plus catches. So, tight end is another one I would actually bring up. I think if they could trade for a player, like a legit tight end 2, where it made Johnny Munt your 3, and then Eli Stowers was your 4, I think would really help them. It looks like they're going to run a lot of multiple tight end sets here. We know that they want dual threat guys, and they don't really have that right now. So, yeah, I would agree that a few positions they're top heavy, but one I would definitely look at is that backup tight end spot.
All right, before we let you go, we know Sean Mannion's going to speak top of the hour. You'll be there as the practice gets set to start in about 45 minutes or so. What are you watching for the most this week? I would think the possible return of Mekhi Lemon is a big one to look at.
So, I'm excited to get out on the field today and see what Mekhi does. Last week in New England, he did individuals. He had on shoulder pads. He had a helmet on. Sounds like a small thing, but it's not. He hadn't had those on for 10 days, or 10 practices. So to see him out there doing that, I thought was encouraging. Devontae Smith hasn't done team drills yet. I think we sometimes just don't worry about Devontae because we know he's a very good player. But seeing him back out there is big. And then just how they use Mekhi. If I'm watching practice today and it's a lot of bubble screens, it's a lot of jet sweeps, that tells me they're going to find a way to get him the ball in week 1. So I definitely think the big story today is Mekhi, how much he's out there, what he does. And then, look, tomorrow night at the Link is a chance for all the fans to see it. So I'm excited to see what everyone else thinks of Mekhi out there.
So tell us about that. So tomorrow night we're doing the Jack Fritz, Eliot Shorr-Parks.
Yes.
You're the new Maryland Mike tomorrow night?
Many people are saying
that's
that,
what I've heard.
I mean, Merrill had 50 years. I think that's a good run.
So
I think Jack's ready to take his shot.
Here's my question. Now, do you guys how many years have you and Jack done this?
I think this is
a few,
our
right?
third.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Now,
exactly, getting up there.
Do you alternate, Stock and Fransky, they alternate now, they'll do different innings. Or is it what's your role? Are you the Mike Quick or are you Merrill?
I'm the football guy. Merrill's a football guy too, but I think that I'm the Mike Quick. Jack is the Merrill. I would play it. Yeah, I think I'm the guy that provides all the football analysis. Jack is the one that just kind of throws it.
Yeah, Jack's a baseball guy.
Yeah, Jack's the one that's checking the Phillies score.
Yeah, well, he will be.
No, but it is always really fun, and the open practices are awesome. So I'm excited to get out there tomorrow, and like you said, and like we started with, only 3 more practices, including today. So we're almost there.
Maybe next year you can get sideline analyst Hugh Douglas from the sideline on practice.